Hey boys and girls, today is Monday, April 13th, 2020, and this week we have a new story and 3 new sight words, just like every week when we've been doing our distance learning. This week we're going to read the story Stone Soup, and I'm going to read it to you here in just a moment. Here's the book. It's by Marcia Brown. And then I'm going to introduce your 3 new sight words. Okay, your first sight word is S-A-Y. Can anybody tell me what that says? Say. Yes, S-A-Y. Now, in your big kid brain, let's think of a sentence where the word say. I'll give you just a minute. Think real hard. Say. When would you use the word say? I can think of a question, and we'll put that down on our paper, and you can write your sentence on your paper as well. I'll give you lots of extra practice. That's awesome. All right, so my sentence is going to be a question word. It's going to start with a question word, what. Got to give that what an uppercase letter because it's the first word of our sentence. What? What did she say? S-A-Y. Say. What did she say? So remember your finger spacing so everyone can, if someone else is reading your sentence, they'll know where your words stop and start. So what did, D-I-D, what did she, S-H-E, say? S-A-Y. And we know that all questions end with a, what's it called? That's it, a question mark. What did she say? 1, 2, 3, 4. Because of my spaces, I can tell that I have 4 words in that sentence. Okay, your next sight word is they. T-H-E-Y. T-H-E-Y. They. All right, now let's think of a sentence with the word they. So think it over. I'm going to think of one in my big kid brain. You ready? All right, you can write yours on your paper, and I'll write mine here on mine. And you can also write my sentence, and I'll give you a little extra practice. Remember that. So, they. My sentence is, they read a book. Okay? They, in this sentence, will need an uppercase T because it's the first word of our sentence. They, T-H-E-Y, read, R-E-A-D, they read a book. They read a book. And what does that need at the end? It's telling me something, so it needs a period. You're so smart. All right. Our last sight word, we've talked about say, S-A-Y, they, T-H-E-Y, and our last word this week is to. Not the number 2, but the to as in too much. T-O-O. To. All right, think of a sentence. Think of a sentence that has the word to in it, like too much. You got one? All right, listen to mom. He drank too much milk. Too. So, he, H, uppercase H, E. He. He what? He drank too much milk. He drank too much milk. That's telling me something, so I need a what? That's right, a period. He drank too much milk. Now, I used my big kid finger spacing, so I can tell that this sentence has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words in it. All right, guys, you did so awesome on that. Now, I know that as you're reading your sight word readers this week, you will know these words, and you'll read them so fast. You'll be so good, so smart. All right, guys, so This week's story, like I told you, is Stone Soup. So get all cozy and get your listening ears on because I'm going to read you Stone Soup. Stone Soup, an old tale, told and pictured by Marcia Brown. So she did both. She wrote the words and she made the pictures. Three soldiers trudged down a road in a strange country. They were on their way home from the wars. Besides being tired, they were hungry. In fact, they had eaten nothing for 2 days. "How I would like a good dinner tonight," said the first. "And a bed to sleep in," said the second. "But all that is impossible," said the third. "We must march on." On they marched, and suddenly ahead of them they saw the lights of a village. "Maybe we'll find a bite to eat there," said the first. "And a loft to sleep in," said the second. "No harm in asking," said the third. Now the peasants of the place feared strangers. When they heard the three soldiers were coming down the road, they talked among themselves. "Here come 3 soldiers. Soldiers are always hungry, but we have little enough food for ourselves." And they hurried to hide their food. They pushed sacks of barley under the hay in the lofts. They lowered buckets of milk down the wells. They spread old quilts over the carrot bins. They hid their cabbages and potatoes under the bed. They hung their meat in the cellars. They hid all they had to eat. Then they waited. It's them doing all those chores, hiding all their stuff they don't want to share. The soldiers stopped first at the house of Paul and Francis. "Good evening to you," they said. "Could you spare a bit of food for 3 hungry soldiers?" "We have had no food for ourselves in 3 days," said Paul. Francis made a sad face. "It has been a poor harvest." The 3 soldiers went on to the house of Albert and Louise. "Could you spare a bit of food? And have you some corner where we could sleep for the night?" "Oh no," said Albert. "We gave all we could spare to soldiers who came before you." "Our beds are all full," said Louise. At Vincent and Marie's, the answer was the same. It had been a poor harvest, and all the grain must be kept for seed. So it went all through the village. Not a peasant had any food to give away. They all had good reasons. One family had used the grain for feed. Another had an old sick father to care for. All had too many mouths to fill. The villagers stood in the street and sighed. They looked as hungry as they could. The 3 soldiers talked together. Then the first soldier called out, "Good people!" The peasants drew near. "We are 3 hungry soldiers in a strange land. We have asked you for food, and you have no food. Well then, we'll have to make stone soup." The peasants stared. Stone soup? That would be something to know about. See, these are the villagers, and here are the 3 soldiers. So they're speaking to them, and they're looking at them and listening. "First, we'll need a large iron pot," the soldier said. The peasants brought the largest pot they could find. How else to cook enough? That's none too large, said the soldier, but it will do, and now water to fill it and fire to heat it. Here's the big pot, and here's the fire they're going to build, and this is what the pot will sit in to hold it above the fire. It took too many buckets of water to fill the pot. A fire was built on the village square, and the pot was set to boil, because that's what happens when water gets really hot. It was what? It boils. And now, if you please, 3 round, smooth stones. Those were easy enough to find. The peasants' eyes grew round as they watched the soldiers drop the stone into the pot. Any soup needs salt and pepper, said the soldiers as they began to stir. Children ran to fetch the salt and pepper. Stones like these generally make good soup, but oh, if there were carrots, it would be much better. Why, I think I have a carrot or two, said Frances, and off she ran. She came back with her apron full of carrots from the bin beneath the red quilt. Now that's more than just 2, isn't it? A good stone soup should have cabbage, said the soldiers as they sliced the carrots into the pot. But no use asking for what you don't have, said the soldiers. I think I could find a cabbage somewhere, said Marie, and she hurried home. Back she came with 3 cabbages from the cupboard under her bed. See, earlier Marie said, I don't have anything, I'm sorry. If we only had a bit of beef and a few potatoes, this soup would be good enough for a rich man's table. The peasants thought that over. They remembered their potatoes and the sides of beef hanging in the cellars. They ran to fetch them. A rich man's soup, and all from a few stones. It seemed like magic. Ah, sighed the soldiers as they stirred in the beef and potatoes. If we only had a little barley and a cup of milk, this soup would be fit for the king himself. Indeed, he asked just for such a soup when last he dined with us. The peasants looked at each other. The soldiers had entertained the king. Well, but no use asking for what you don't have. The soldiers sighed. The peasants brought their barley from the lofts. They brought their milk from the wells. The soldiers stirred the barley and the milk into the steaming broth while the peasants stared. At last the soup was ready. All of you shall taste, the soldiers said, but first a table must be set. Great tables were placed in the square. All around were lighted torches. Oh, look. Such a soup! How good it smelled! Truly fit for a king. But then the peasants asked themselves, would not such a soup require bread and a roast and cider? Soon a banquet was spread and everyone sat down to eat. Never had there been such a feast. Never had the peasants tasted such good soup. And fancy, and all made from stones. They ate and drank and ate and drank, and after that they danced. They danced and sang far into the night. At last they were tired. Then the 3 soldiers asked, is there not a loft where we could sleep? Let 3 such wise and splendid gentlemen sleep in a loft? Indeed, they must have the best beds in the village. So the first soldier slept in the priest's house. The second soldier slept in the baker's house. And the third soldier slept in the mayor's house. You can see them in the bed, in the homes they stayed in. In the morning, the whole village gathered in the square to give them a send-off. Many thanks for what you have taught us, the peasants said to the soldiers. We shall never go hungry now that we know how to make soup from stones. Oh, it's all in knowing how, said the soldiers, and off they went down the road. The end. So in this story, boys and girls, did the soldiers really make soup from stones? No, but that was the way that they kind of tricked all the peasants in the village that told them they didn't have any food to bringing them stuff to make soup. And not only did they feed themselves, all 3 soldiers, they fed everyone in the village with this soup. So this story is very, very good. You can also hear this story again by watching this video again, or I will put a link on YouTube for you to listen to it again. Okay? I will see you later. Keep studying those sight words, and I hope that you will be one day smarter. Love you. Bye.